Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, members of the media. Badanki, Khod. Thank you very much, Samkelo. This morning, the African National Congress speaks to you about its recent visit to the Northwest province. And so we will be reflecting on that this morning, but also reflecting on other matters that are organizational in nature and matters that also impact South Africans. The Secretary General, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, is here with us this morning, and I'd like to immediately hand over to him, after which we will then have a question and answer session, and then we can take things from there. Thank you very much. You're most welcome, members of the media.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mahlengi, spokesperson of the ANC. We first start by extending our condolences to Eusebius Makgatho's family, colleagues and friends in the media space. The African National Congress wish to pass our deepest condolences to the bereaved family and all friends. May his soul rest in eternal peace. The ANC National Working Committee met on 29 May 2023 in Bujana District, Northwest Province, to discharge its duties in terms of the ANC Constitution and reflect on its provincial visit to Northwest Province, which took place on the 27 to 29 May 2023. The National Working Committee was encouraged by the large attendance by regional executive committees, branches, leagues, and alliance partners in the regional general councils held across all the 4 regions of the Northwest. These were led by national officials, National Working Committee members, and NEC employees to the province. Central to the NWC visit was to assess the state of the organization, service delivery, and governance. We can confirm that the ANC in the Northwest Province is alive and that many of our members are firmly behind the renewal of the ANC, a mandate discharged by the ANC 55th National Conference. Whilst there are challenges in various regions, there is a determination to ensure that the ANC renews itself, accelerates service delivery, and improves governance. The Working Committee has noted with consent the report of the Auditor General, which casts a spotlight on dysfunctional municipalities in the province. ANC branches also highlighted organizational matters of concern, which suggest internal divisions and how this impact on service delivery to the people of the province. For example, in the Tsobotla, criminal elements are masquerading as ANC leaders, whilst in Rustenburg, the poor working relationship between the offices of the mayor and the speaker threatens to render the entire municipality dysfunctional and bring service delivery to a halt. In Mamusa, we are facing a rebellion of ANC public representatives who do not want to toe the party line in terms of the deployment of the speaker in the council. In this regard, the Working Committee directed the Secretary General to constitute a national intervention team made up of full-time officials, which together with the Provincial Executive Committee must urgently intervene on these matters. The next NWC meeting will receive a report on progress made. The ANC will not tolerate any form of anarchy in its name. Decisive action is being taken where ill discipline and failure to discharge the ANC mandate is observed. We have begun yesterday meeting with our public representatives on Monday in Rustenburg, and we have implemented the decision to redeploy the speaker in that particular council. We have also met with the deployees and briefed them about this decision. As we speak, that decision has been implemented in the province. All others will then follow in the areas that I've mentioned, where we are faced with instability, because our interest is to ensure that there is stability in the province and in the local councils to be able to execute the task of proper and good governance in the local municipality. On the cholera outbreak, the NWC expressed strong concern about the outbreak of cholera in the areas of Hammanskraal, in Tshwane, Gauteng province, where 20 lives have been lost and over 165 people are hospitalized. This matter has brought into sharp focus the importance of intergovernmental relations and cooperative governance as enshrined in the country's constitution. This should not be driven by party political interest, but a service to the people. The NWC further welcomed the change of attitude by the DA-led Tshwane Metropolitan Municipality from a combative and unnecessary antagonism to a joined-up and collaborative intergovernmental response that puts people first. As a governing party, the Secretary General has been in constant communication with all our deployees, relevant ministers and MECs regarding the cholera outbreak. Our strive is to ensure the arrest of cholera outbreak and ensure that a sustainable solution is found. To this end, the NWC commended the decisive intervention by national government under the stewardship of Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senzo Mkhulu. The invocation of Section 139 of the Municipal Finance Management Act will facilitate an intergovernmental response to the cholera outbreak, but over and above, to fix the challenges in terms of water provision in that part of the province. The ANC expects government to roll out an elaborative integrated communication plan to encourage communities to adopt precautionary and preventative measures. This being boiling water and allowing it to bubble for about 1 minute, mixing 1 teaspoon of household bleach with 20 to 25 liters of water and letting it stand for at least 2 hours. It is also important to wash hands with clean water and soap, especially after using the toilet and before preparing food. On the electricity crisis, the NWC welcomed the President's proclamation, which transfers powers to the Minister of Electricity, Dr. Hosien Suramukhoba. This development is intended to capacitate the Minister in his drive to end electricity load shedding in South Africa. The NWC also noted and welcomed pronouncements by the Minister of Electricity that efforts are underway to ensure load shedding is reduced by December 2023. On by-elections in KwaZulu-Natal, ANC retained Mandeni, 15 with 68, Ward 15 with 68%, Umzimkhulu was retained with 66%, and at eThekwini, Ward 73, ANC received a marginal increase from 10% to 18% of the votes. In Gauteng, in Sidibeng, Lesedi sub-region, Ward 8, which is a DA stronghold, the ANC grew from 13% to 16%, whilst in Ekurhuleni, 125, we suffered a decline from 8% to 3%. The ANC does not take the support shown by many South Africans for granted. The organization is spearheading its renewal program, which will result in the delivery of improved service delivery. The ANC is gearing up for the 2024 National General Election, which is expected to be amongst the most challenging elections for the movement. Recent by-elections results confirms that the ANC is the only party which represents the hopes and aspirations of many South Africans. On Russia-Ukraine conflict, the NWC reaffirmed the correctness of South Africa's position of non-aligned multilateralism and promotion of dialogue as the best means of ending the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The Secretary General met with ambassadors of the United States of America, Ukraine and Russia to reiterate South Africa's position on international relations and reaffirm the principal stance of government and the ANC. NWC welcomed Africa's 6-country member delegation willingness to broker peace and end the acrimony between Ukraine and Russia. This bold and courageous step reaffirms Africa's role in modern diplomacy of peaceful resolution of conflict through dialogue. NWC also expressed support for the President's decision to appoint retired Judge Mojapilu to lead an independent inquiry that must establish the facts about allegations of arms sold by South Africa to Russia through the ship Lady R. On BRICS Summit, preparations are at an advanced stage for the ANC to host this year's BRICS Party Political Plus Dialogue, which is scheduled to take place from the 18th to the 20th of July 2023. The NWC welcome reports on preparations for PD 23, which will be held in the context of the BRICS Summit, which is hosted by South Africa this year. The 2023 BRICS is of crucial importance to South Africa and Africa. In addition to affirm a changing global order, BRICS also offers South Africa partnerships and investment in various areas which will also boost the African continental free trade area and other bilateral relations with African member states. NWC resolved that the government should ensure all necessary measures are put in place to ensure South Africa hosts a successful and mutually beneficial BRICS summit. The NWC welcomed the report on the development and the upgrading of the ANC membership system, which is part and parcel of the renewal. Features of the upgrading of the system include the issuing, for the first time after many years, membership card of the ANC. And all of this will happen before end of the year in terms of upgrading our membership system and dealing with challenges such as gatekeeping and making it a point that a member of the ANC feel independent and they cannot be marginalized by a middle person. And all constitutional requirements in terms of upgrading the new membership system will be followed. On disciplinary matters, the ANC National Disciplinary Committee has been seized with a matter involving its former Secretary General, Comrade Makgatho. The National Disciplinary Committee has made a finding in this regard, of which a detailed statement to this effect will be sent to the media in terms of the outcome of the disciplinary hearing. On legal matters, the NWC noted reports of the following legal matters underway. The ANC is pursuing summons on Mr. Andre de Ruyter in Hamburg, Germany, demanding that he either substantiate his allegation that the ANC is a corrupt organization or retract and apologize. The ANC is opposing the ATM's application for leave to appeal the judgment of the High Court of the Western District dismissing the party's application that the Speaker be ordered to hold an open ballot on the question of appointing a parliamentary committee to consider the report of the Section 89 panel. The ANC will oppose the application by my vote counts to declare the current donation limits and reporting threshold determined in terms of the Political Party Funding Act unlawful and unconstitutional. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to invite any questions from members of the media. I have Sankelo over there, and next to your left, Sankelo in that particular order, and that to your right is the third person. Sankelo. So we start in the middle. You can, if you're free to hand over that right, it's up to you.
Thank you very much. It's Sefako from Kaya FM. SG, could I please get your sentiments around the DA's application, this application to have South Africa arrest Putin, just your sentiments around that court application. And then also, SG, in relation to the threat of possible sanctions that South Africa could suffer, this is obviously owing to the US, likely to sanction South Africa because of our stance regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. Just your sentiments around that as well. And then in relation to the power crisis, SG, you have touched on it a bit, but just, the 3-year-old child who died because they didn't have a breathing instrument in hospital, these are some of the local stories which are impacting, or in relation to load shedding, the real impact that load shedding is having on people's lives. What is, in terms of fast tracking how to deal with load shedding, how is the sentiments of the ruling party just on that? And a last one, SG, Minister Robert Gordon has appealed to the High Court ruling, has applied for that leave to appeal in relation to exempting hospitals, schools from load shedding. Is this not contradictory statements that are coming out of the ruling party by Gordon making this appeal? Thank you.
Thanks, Katleo. Sangalo.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mbalula, on the issue of particularly the BRICS summit, what is the verdict on President Vladimir Putin? Is he coming to South Africa or not? I ask this question on the backdrop of your meeting last week or the week before with the Russian ambassador here at the Tree House, and especially with the special envoy sent by President Ramaphosa in his capacity at the Union buildings, with that envoy which also encompasses the individuals who are in the ANC, such as Mr. Benjamin Chauke, who is one of his volunteer advisors, if one may put it like that. Is President Putin coming to South Africa? And what are the legal recourses you are looking at as the Tree House to have the President of the Russian Federation here within the country, noting that the Democratic Alliance has approached the North Gauteng High Court in order to compel the government to stick with the own statute of being a signatory with the International Criminal Court, that if he sets foot on South African soil, that he is apprehended and handed over to the International Court. Secondly, what is the verdict of your homeboy, the former Secretary General, Makgatho, by the Disciplinary Committee? Have you decided to expel him from the organization or to revoke and uplift his suspension? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up.
Good morning, SG, National Spokesperson Police. My name is Mamelodi from the Sunny World. SG, as a start, I'm starting the judgment of yesterday in the case between the ANC and Israeli investment, which enforces the attachment of movable assets to the tune of about 102 million rand. My question is, as to what are the consequences of this particular judgment, and maybe more pointedly, does the ANC have movable assets that amount to that tune? And if it does, what are those assets? And are they only able to the household? Do they also include those in provincial offices and regional offices? And also, maybe on that very point, how did we get there? I mean, I understand that the issue relates to the 2019 general elections. I seem to understand that at the time we were ahead of elections. I'm sure you might have a bigger clarity as to how and what we are at this point in time. Number two, during the 2021 local government elections, the ANC set standards for mayors. I stand to be corrected, but I seem to remember that the resolution was that mayors must at least have post-election qualification. In view of that, there is something that is brewing in the Eastern Cape for about which relates to a mayor of a particular metro. I'm not going to name them at this point in time, but I'm sure that the leadership knows the mayor that I'm talking about. And then I proceed to ask, why did the House allow the ANC provincial deployment and the National Deployment Committee to choose that particular mayor of that metro whose qualifications are extremely questionable? And I understand there's a forensic report that is brewing and that will come very soon, which will prove that that particular mayor actually doesn't have qualifications. Maybe a question is, does the National Deployment Committee and Provincial Deployment Committees, when these people produce their alleged qualifications, to do verifications with the institutions we claim to have acquired those qualifications from? Lastly, from my side, with issues that relate to state capture accommodations, we saw the Chief Justice yesterday having an interview at SABC, and he expressed concern about the implementation of the recommendations. What is the view of the ANC in that particular regard, since we know that you were among the parties that championed the establishment of the state capture commission?
Thank you very much, Mawande. I have those three, and I'm going to take one last one for the first bite, and then allow the SG to reflect. Governor?
Good morning. My name is Gordon Williams from News from Africa. Thank you so much. So another minority party mayor has been appointed in Nelson Mandela Bay. This contradicts an ANC decision that the ANC should take the mayorship where it got the most number of votes, even if it isn't the majority. Is that decision being taken against the NEC decision, or did you give approval for that decision? Has the ANC now accepted that it's not possible to stop bloodshed before the end of the year? In the IEC's extracts of the ANC's financials in the submission of the last financial year, it showed that the ANC has assets of 21,000 rand. Is that correct, Mr. Mbalula? How did it come that the ANC would only have assets worth 21,000 rand? That's it.
All right, so that will be our first round. I would like to then ask you, SG, to come on stream.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media. I'm trying to get what Sam Kello is asking about Makgatho. So my apologies. I hope to get it. But first with Kaya FM, DA application to arrest Putin. Well, that is their application. Government is dealing with those matters. So quite in a focused manner, and we prefer to leave it at that point. The challenge of the DA of the coming of President Putin to our country is a matter that government must deal with legally. That is what we prefer. A threat of sanction by the United States of America on our stance regarding Russia. Nobody should compel South Africa to take sides in terms of the conflict. And so any sanction against our country based on our non-aligned position will be unfair and unjust, and they will be opposed by all freedom-loving people across the world. And if anything of that sort can actually happen, we'll defend our sovereignty, and that's what is important. And we have repeatedly said load shedding has got an impact on the economy and everyone else, and that is why we're working on not only reversing but ensuring that our government work to do away with load shedding. Of course, the time frames we put to this is that we expect load shedding to be done and dusted very soon. Could be before end of the year, but we want load shedding gone. That's the principle. And we're getting reports, and we're getting positive reports in terms of work that has been done. The minister was in Mozambique yesterday to get extra megawatts. All the initiatives that have been taken to do away with load shedding are welcomed by the African National Congress. And the plan of action that has been adopted, it is important that it is implemented decisively as it is being done at the present moment. Pravin Gordhan, on the appeal, we as the ANC, we yet to get feedback on that appeal, and Minister Gordhan will brief us in the near future about that appeal and the stance that government is taking, because there's a whole lot of propaganda around it that the ANC government doesn't care for the essential services that are provided to the nation. Why is the minister appealing? We are equally not in a position to respond decisively on the matter of the appeal. We believe that government must lead. And that is what we talk about, because we live in a sensitive period where distortion has become the order of the day. So if a minister appeals a decision which is in court and doesn't explain the reasons why he's appealing, distortions are playing their part in the public domain. So there is no contradictions in terms of what we're doing and what needs to happen in the country about load shedding. The minister's appeal must be explained by the minister and government. So we wouldn't want to get into that space, because there are issues that they seek to address. For us, it is important to understand first where they come from. So as they appeal, it's important for them to explain. Samkelo, when it comes to what is the verdict, legally informed, obviously we have said this, that we are signatories to the Rome Statutes, and in this instance there is precedent when a president of another country came here when there was a warrant of arrest. We were taken to court and government lost. So we don't expect our government to do anything illegal and to break the law. If there are other means necessary to get President Putin to participate in the BRICS summit, can it be virtual or whatever way government can do they must do it. But by now, we expect our government to have explained our situation as a host country to Russia through the diplomatic channels, our predicament in terms of this matter of President Putin coming into our country and us being signatories to the Rome Statute, and where does it place us? It means if we come to South Africa, we have to act. And we're not going to be party as a country to arresting a president coming into our country. And that's why as the ANC, we have advanced with the amendment of the Roman statutes in terms of ensuring that we also, alongside countries like the United Kingdom, which exempt people of special importance like presidents in terms of a possibility of them being arrested. So we expect government to lead on this matter, and we expect by now Russia should know that South Africa as a country and a signatory is constrained. Simple as that. It's not a difficult matter to explain to anyone. We've had the president of Sudan coming here, and then there was application. DA is just acting Hollywood style with their court application and so on to claim easy victories. We don't expect our government to act in a manner that undermines the law and the rule of law. So in this instance, we think that government must provide leadership on this matter and deal with the matter guided by the prescripts of the law we have signed for and we are part of as a country. Is Putin coming to South Africa? We don't have clarity with regard to that. Like I explained, as the ANC, I wish to reiterate, would like President Putin to come to our country anytime. But in this instance, the ICC warrant of arrest does constrain, obviously, our government from doing so. If in the legal prescripts there is a possibility to get President Putin to come to the BRICS summit, we don't have a problem with regard to that because Russia is a member state, a member of the BRICS countries. On Ezulwini investments, first, we have not received this writ attachment that is circulating on social groups. You only comment on something that you have received. As the Secretary General and the General Manager of Luthuli House, which is Phoebe Potgieter and myself as the ANC SG, I've not received any application to attach. But should that happen, we will challenge that. Because we have appealed in the Supreme Court of Appeal in terms of this judgment of Ezulwini. I'm not privy to speak about other steps we have taken. As you have asked, we have undertaken since this thing has happened. Because to us, this is fraud. It's a fraudulent matter, which we're going to open a case with the law enforcement now in terms of the Secretary General, that this matter must be investigated and necessary steps must be taken to deal with it. We have taken steps dealing with the matter quietly in terms of investigations and everything in our power to deal with this matter. This is just pure fraud that has actually happened, and it must be dealt with as such. It is a big concern to us that we could get to this stage where the courts have ruled against us and give these people the possibility that they've got a case of 102 million. How could we have given one person 102 million in the campaign of the election for things that you yourselves have not seen in the streets? Then our campaign should have been wow if we spend 102 million on billboards or anything of that sort. We're struggling. Where will we get 102 million to sign off and spend on whatever that it is that they claim we have spent money on? It is a disaster that you can get people coming together and using the law to trick the ANC in the manner in which this thing has happened. And it is very clear that they couldn't do this thing alone. It was done in collusion, clearly, with our staff, which we need to take steps equally with those who have aided this criminal activity. It's a criminal activity, and we will stand up to defend the ANC. There was no way that ANC could spend 102 million on posters that you can only account for them in a specific zone. We were all in the campaign. Where did you see such posters in our campaign? It was just a quick thing that was done, paper, COVID-19 to the courts, and the ruling was against the ANC. The ANC also did not do much to defend itself when this thing started. Now we are in this disaster, which we need to fight and defeat, of course. All our mayors must have verified qualification. If there is a problem with a mayor who's underqualified, of course, we'll get a report. How did that happen? From those who were assigned the task in the past. Because every mayor of the ANC, except the metros which are interviewed by the national officials, but all our mayors have undergone a proper process of scrutiny and interview by our provincial executive committees. So these issues that we are talking about, obviously, will have to go to the report and look into these matters properly. There is nothing called a Zondo Commission. There is a commission called State Capture. Zondo is just a judge who happened to be at the helm of that process. Now, he can express his consent like all citizens. We want everybody, irrespective, to be brought to book in terms of the State Capture Commission. Our law enforcement agencies should be in a position to be strengthened. We believe they have been strengthened to deal with these particular challenges and the corruption that has been reported in terms of state capture. But you know the main culprits of this state capture. We just failed to extradite them from Dubai. It seems to be an Achilles heel to get them down here. They've chosen a place and the country in the world where it will be difficult to bring them here to South Africa. But the courageous leadership Lamula is providing in government on this matter is to be commended. It's going to be difficult, not as easy as everyone thinks, but quite clearly, to get them down here, it is a big challenge. But we want to encourage them to continue, never give up on getting the Guptas to come here and face full accountability of the law. Minority Party appointed mayor. You know that our strategic perspective on coalitions says that we must look at the law and at the same time amend the law to be able to give political parties with bigger numbers. But when you are in the negotiations, in terms of these coalitions and so on, you work with everyone. And those we work with, it depends on them that they will give the ANC the right to establish government. Now, you will be aware that in Nelson Mandela, the ANC has been given a key position of the Speaker of Council. And then the minority party, the Northern Alliance, is occupying the position of the Mayor. But it's not only the Speaker, it's also with other portfolios in terms of Nelson Mandela Bay, whereas other parties are sharing the rest. So the ANC leads. You may not lead in terms of the Mayor, but you will lead in terms of the number of portfolios you've got. You come to all the coalitions that we have, even here in Joburg. All parties are sharing spoils in terms of portfolios. ANC is given solid 5 on its own, but not the mayor position, and so on. But the ANC is given the opportunity in terms of the opposition parties that it works with, then to collaborate in terms of who becomes the mayor. That's why we work with Al Jamaa, and we chose the mayor from Al Jamaa, and everybody else agreed with us in relation to that. Assets worth 21,000. I'll refer that to the TG, and also to look at that report of the IEC, and because I cannot claim we have gone through that report. ANC has been one of the parties that have been accounting for what and declaring to the IEC in terms of the donations we receive and so on. So where there's 21,000 assets, of course, there is an explanation to that.
Thank you, SG. I had noted yourself over there, my sister. Yes, please give it a bit. And then we will end off with this side of the media center, starting with yourself and then in that particular order. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. SG, every weekend we have the president speak at length about a lack of unity in the Northwest that threatens to cripple the organization at the 2024 elections. But when you briefly spoke to us on Saturday, I think, you seemed to suggest that the organization was nearly ravaged by squabbles that are not necessarily ideological. Do you perhaps not consider the issues in that province as posing a threat to the party's performance at the 2024 elections? Secondly, we also heard that the situation in the Dizowa municipality was so dire that the ANC councillors were carrying knives and stabbing each other at council meetings. Today you spoke about councillors refusing to toe the party line and some colluding with opposition parties. I understand you say a national team will be established to deal with these issues. I suppose my question is, how exactly will these councillors be dealt with? Is the party looking at named criminal charges, or do you consider these to be purely matters that should be dealt with internally? And lastly, that Joburg mayor, as you just spoke about, Al Jamaa, has been missing in action. What is the party's response to this?
Thank you very much. I have yourself over there, my brother. Please proceed.
Thank you so much. My name is Mamelodi from City Press. One of the issues that the NWC in the Northwest Province raises the concern of is the issue of division within the structure in regions and branches. But in the case of recently, there's been several councillors who've been expelled from the organization. The SG is talking about people rebellion in Mamosa. I believe that there's a document which was written by the said councillors who expressed their reasons as to why they didn't vote for the said name to be a speaker. And one of their reasons was, according to that document, was that they said a person lied about the qualification. They said also the legalities about what happened with regard to. I understand that you have instructed them to implement the Motlanthe recommendation in terms of how things should be done in appointing people. How is the ANC now handling that issue, the matter of division, and then what is going on as now there are court cases, there are also the matter of them not wanting to follow the disciplinary, the PDC chairperson who came into question, his credential came into question. How are you handling that matter if you have already been briefed about it? And then maybe lastly, in the issue regarding there's an ongoing issue between the private prosecution of the president by the former president. The last time the SG said the ANC will intervene in that matter and try to speak to both parties and try to
not take a week for you to find out whether the three MPs that are allegedly solicited right from Advocate Mkwebane to find out to say what's the status. Have you spoken to them? And also, I wanted to find out about the status of Siso Kula. We know that he has already stepped aside, but has he been removed as a member of parliament? And maybe the last one would be this thing of clipping off the wings of Minister Mandashe. Is there any fight between the president and, or maybe the three of them, between Stuka and maybe the president? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. I'm going to take one last hand and then we are done. And it will be somebody that hasn't said a word. Khotadzo, come on stream.
Thank you very much, Khotadzo Madisa from Sunday Time. Mr. Mbalula,
We're listening.
Maybe firstly, is there an update on the disciplinary action that was said to have been started regarding the actions of MPs, ANC MPs, Zwelini Mkhize, Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, and Lindiwe Sisulu, one former MP Lindiwe Sisulu, on the vote, the Parapara vote in Parliament? I understand there was a report that was sent from the ANC caucus in Parliament that recommended that the actions be taken against them. Secondly, Mr. Mbalula, what is your understanding of the immunities that were granted by DERCO for the two BRICS events? So they issued immunities for the conferences that will take. So the one that takes place now for the foreign ministers, and also the BRICS conference. There seems to be a bit of confusion around that. As they are your employees, what have they said this thing means? Does it give way for Putin to come through? Does it not? Is it just a tick of a box type exercise? When you concluding your conference in Free State, the SG of the ANC said at the time that, you guys will still deal with the issues of the Integrity Commission, the two reports on digital virus and the one on the Parapara. You did speak about it, but there was really no conclusion in that. You now have appointed, or is it appointment or election, of elected new chair of the commission and the new team. they given you an indication of how far they are with the reports that were outstanding from the previous team? And maybe this would be the last one. How far is the ANC on the process of amending the Political Party Funding Act? I understand there was a decision either in the NWC or the NEC previously that the ANC MPs should be directed to begin that process. There's, however, a court case by I'll tell you now. So there's a court case, there's an NGO, My Vote Counts, there we go, yes. My Vote Counts has issued a challenge, actually saying they want to reduce the thresholds as they are too high, but the ANC seems to suggest the thresholds are too low and you guys want to do the opposite. Maybe just your comments on that. Somebody was saying that you didn't answer the question on
I'll answer it.
I see you are now speaking on behalf of one media house speaking on behalf of another. I see that there's appetite for more questions, and so I will ask for your indulgence, SG. Can we just take one or two, and so that this becomes the last round? And can we keep them succinct? Let's not do what my brother over there did. I kept trying to get him to get to the point. So let's keep it crisp and succinct. Mawande?
Yes, thank you. As you maybe, as an affirmation of my brother's question there on the issue of the alleged solicited bribes on African Korea, besides you speaking to them, are those alleged to have been involved in the act appearing anytime soon before the Technical Commission? Since we know that to be standard practice, as it relates to allegations. And then secondly and lastly, is the ANC not worried about the impact of load shedding and the perpetual increase of the interest rates by the Reserve Bank, especially now going into elections next year? And also, is this perpetual increase, particularly of the interest rates by SRB, not an affirmation of the ANC resolution to nationalize the government? I ask this for among other reasons, this reason. These so-called members of the MPC Monetary Policy Committee, I understand there's 4 or 5 of them. Do you even know them? Who are they? You know, I mean, from where I stand, these are just unelected, faceless individuals who decide the fate that affects 60 million South African citizens. When is the ANC taking a firm stance to stop this, which is affecting literally everyone, which, in my view, is definitely going to help the ANC badly in next year's elections? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mawande. Sankela, and then Gavin will be the last person to speak, and then I'll attend to the SG.
Mr. Mbalula, the possibility of the ANC and the Democratic Alliance working together on the legislation of legislating governments. You've got similar proposals on legislating the coalition governments. I want to be voting on the DA on this motion in Parliament. Thank you.
It was very brief coming from you, Sankela. Thank you very much. Last but not least, to sign us out, Gavin Wills.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Mr. Mbalula.
Very much. Over to you, SG.
Thank you very much. Let me deal with the Makgatho matter once and for all. The disciplinary hearing set 23rd May 2023 on a virtual platform. Charges against disciplinary hearing on charged member Elias Khubelo Makgatho. The charges: 1, the charged member was charged with 2 counts of misconduct for contravening Rule 25 of the ANC Constitution. Count 1, the ANC alleged that the church member contravened Rule 12.17.12 of the ANC Constitution, in that on or about 3rd May 2021, the church member wrote a letter to the President of the ANC, in which he unilaterally suspended the President, purporting to have the necessary authority to do so, and doing so without consulting and obtaining the necessary authority to do so from the officials, the NWC and the NEC, as required in terms of Rule 25.6, read together with Rule 25.70 of the ANC Constitution, thereby undermining the respect for or impeding functions of any structure or committee of the ANC. Count 2, the ANC alleged that the church member contravened Rule 25.17.3, read with Rule 25.17.12, and together with Rule 12.1 in general, and specifically with Rule 12.2.20 of the ANC Constitution, in that he failed, refused, or neglected to comply with a directive of the NEC, duly taken at its meeting on 8 to 10 May 2021, that he apologized to the President, ANC structures and members within 48 hours after such directive was brought to his attention. A letter containing such directive was given to him personally at 15 hours on the 12th of May 2021. He said failure, refusal, or neglect to apologize constitutes misconduct. The finding: the church member is found guilty on count 1 and 2 as charged. The church member is afforded 7 calendar days from the date of being informed or becoming aware of this finding to make written submissions to the NDC through the office of the NDC Administrator, Comrade Lamera, whose email address is there, to show cause why the ANC recommendation that the church member be expelled from the organization should not be imposed as an appropriate sanction. This finding will be delivered to the residential address of the church member at the address set out in paragraph 49 by member authorized by ANC or the Deputy Sheriff of Bloemfontein West. The Secretary General's office is directed to publicly announce this finding. Reasons for the decision appear in the attached finding, which will be circulated. Members in attendance: Ralph Mkijima, Chairperson, and all the members of the disciplinary committee. Apology was also received from one member of the disciplinary committee. So this will be circulated together with the statement. So, in terms of squabbles at Northwest, the purpose of the visit of the NWC is to ensure that we interact with structures and we don't keep a distance. We don't get close to challenges and problems of the organization when it is completely out of control. We now know the challenges we are facing in Northwest, and we are taking necessary steps, not only to arrest, but to deal with those challenges. They manifest themselves in terms of governance, instability in municipalities. Mamusa is key, and then Rustenburg is key, Naledi and all other areas that are faced with these particular challenges. We've got all the specifics which through our intervention team we will go back to Northwest. In a week or 2 weeks, we will go back to the Northwest, but now to meet with the Provincial Executive Committee and finalize interventions we will be making in the province, starting from now and at the time when we meet again with the Provincial Executive Committee. Of course, we want to deal away with all the squabbles that are there in the organization, because it doesn't augur well for the voter and the residents of different areas to be subjected to instability because of people who are dealing with issues of their self-interest other than serving communities. And it cannot happen in the name of the ANC. And that goes for the Tsobotla. We have said that in the Tsobotla we've got some display of criminal activity there, masquerading as ANC people that we need to deal with in the Tsobotla. The mayor of Johannesburg missing in action is what I read about as well. It's a matter of concern. Why is the mayor going AWOL or anything of that sort if he is? And I think I am going to have, together with the provincial leadership, a conversation with our deployees to understand exactly what is happening. Of course, not only the mayor, we want our public representatives at local government to be visible. The justification of you becoming a councillor at a local government is precisely because your job description is about interaction with the people. So if a councillor is nowhere to be found, then it means you are sleeping on duty. And that should be a consent to us, and it is indeed a consent as reported, but we can't just take it like that and look the other direction. So I'm going to see Dada, our leader of the opposition and in the leader of the ANC in Johannesburg, about this worrisome developments. It could be malicious that the mayor is not a person who does his work by having a strong team of communications around him, but is nonetheless doing his work. He can claim that it is malicious rumors, but we are concerned about those rumors that are doing rounds in the media. And you know, they are voluminous. It's not like something is said quietly in a corner. It's big. You know, it's like a volcano dropping that the mayor is nowhere to be found. And so we need to understand what are the challenges there, because it is important that the mayor must be visible and be in touch with the people. Mamusa, Norman, I've answered that question about Mamusa allegations and so on that are made about the person proposed to become the speaker. We have said to our deployees, which is what we're dealing with, go back, follow up on these issues. Why are our councillors defiant? And if indeed there is veracity in the allegations, then we've got to understand why people are taking a defiant route and so on. So our deployees at the national level will be interacting. When we go back to Northwest in the next 2 weeks, these matters we expect to be addressed. If it's an open defiance like that, and there is no reasons why people are acting in this manner, obviously we have to take action, because that's why we visit provinces, to help them, to unite them, and to allow provinces to do the important work of servicing our people. A private prosecution, we leave that to people who are executing this matter, but we're still committed to meet with Comrade JZ as the current leadership. We did make contact with him, and there was bereavement in the family. And then from there, he said he's busy with his case. So we're ready to meet him anytime to understand where he comes from on some of these particular issues. So I better not get involved with the private prosecution. Leave it up until we see him when we meet him. Motion on the step-aside rule with regard to Northwest, Kaula, Member of Parliament. Those matters have been processed in terms of the step-aside rule because the comrade has been charged. So we have since been seized with this matter to deal with it. With regard to Khotatso, disciplinary action against, that matter also is in the works of the disciplinary hearing for those members. So one way or the other, they'll have to appear before the DC and explain themselves, and the DC will make a determination whether what they are saying is true or not. But there will be no holy cows. So disciplinary action will be taken, will be executed, and we have had to deal with DC and its challenges. It's only now that disciplinary committee has come back to action because we had to appoint prosecutors or presenters. We just finalized in the last NEC. So they've got a backlog of work in terms of the DC, but rest assured these issues will be attended to. Immunities, I don't want to comment on that. I leave it to DERCO to deal with that particular matter. I have said, as the ANC, we don't want anything illegal to be done, risk the integrity of our country, and then the rule of law must be enforced. As the ANC, we would want anyone to come to our country, including President Putin. But from experience, this matter has put us in a difficult position as a country and in particular, where we were challenged and government was found to be on the wrong side of the law. So we're not running a banana republic. We can't do illegal things. We must follow the law. And that is why as the ANC, we have decided on the amendment of the Roman statutes, on the Rome statutes, not Roman, Rome statutes, to deal with some of the challenges, including immunity, that affect individuals of the caliber of President Putin that in future we must deal with. In the United Kingdom, they do have an exemption for people like this. So we want to follow the same example too. We have met with the Integrity Commission. You'll be happy that after the NEC of June this month, there will be a briefing by the Integrity Commission. We have met with them as the officials. They are coming to the NWC. The Integrity Commission will then, before the NEC, have a broader meeting with all provincial executive committees to brief on their work, and then they will then brief the NEC in June. And then I can tell you that all reports were submitted, including the report you are talking about on Phala Phala, report on whatever VP, what is this?
Digital vibes.
Why we couldn't digital vibes? Digital vibes. Yeah, digital vibes. Those reports were submitted. And then we'll brief you about the status of those reports. The Integrity Commission submitted, the SGO did not put those reports to the NEC. The Integrity Commission has challenged us as officials that we saw in the organizational report to conference, you saying in the report that the integrity report on the following issues was not submitted, and we contest that. So those reports are there, and then they will be made available. So the Integrity Commission will have a media briefing after the NEC meeting of June. So just hang in there. I can see you are very much interested in this topic of the Integrity Commission. So they will brief the media about their work and outstanding matters, and I should also be in a position to brief you about the integrity work in relation to those reports, which I must place them before the NEC, unless I will be charged like Makgatho that I just did my own things without consulting with structures of the organization. Comrades, sorry. My vote counts. We have said that my vote counts. We will challenge that report. That's what we have said. Solicited bribes, there's nothing we've got. But the head of government business, which is Deputy President Mashatile, I've spoken to him to process the matter in terms of Parliament and get all the facts about it. Obviously, if there's anybody implicated there, they will have to subject themselves to the Integrity Commission. But even before, they must explain themselves to me as the Secretary General. Did they solicit bribes or anything of the sort that is reported? So we should be able to respond to this matter quite fully, because it's been a matter this past weekend that has been big on the wires, and we need to deal with that. We don't have to deal with the issue that whoever it is alleged is involved in this thing is guilty. We don't have the facts. The only person who's got the facts is Mzilikazi, and so he's a journalist. So you know yourself, it's difficult to get facts from you guys because you are governed by a particular code. So when you report that members of the ANC are involved in something, we have got to undertake a mission to get first the accountability of the comrades, and you don't have to treat them like as if they are guilty, but you've got to also take measures in terms of clearing the organization in terms of this matter. So I've not seen any statement except Pemi, the chief whip, saying he doesn't know anything about this matter. You just see a name all over the place, and that is going to take action to clear a name in relation to this matter. So we leave it at that. We will brief the NWC, myself and the Deputy President, on the work that we would have done to get the facts about this particular issue. The interest rates, repo rate and all of that, we are having a special briefing on this matter before end of the week as the ANC. We will answer all your questions together with the ETC. We will get all the facts and everything else around it, and then we'll respond as the ANC fully, because it's an important matter that affects ordinary South Africans. So the ANC can't keep quiet about an issue of this nature. So we will respond properly to the issue and with facts and what is guiding us as an organization on matters of this nature. Not because there is an election that is coming, because how we manage the economy is about our daily lives. If now we're going to do things because there is an election, we'll miss the point. We'll miss the point. If we deal with load shedding because elections, everything as an incumbent that you do in terms of interventions you make will affect you, because others will use it. You see, that's why you see John Estesen will go to the British media and say that he believes that we have stashed arms or we have given arms to Russia, just like that. And you say that the president must not establish a commission of inquiry to investigate when our own John stays in here says and believes that we can do all of those things. So we've got to deal with these particular matters. DA coalition government, we will work with anybody. We want stability in coalition governments. So will we work with the DA in terms of amending the legislation? Yes, we'll work with the DA and everyone else, because these are democratic principles that must guide us. Now, at the present moment, you can speak till you turn blue. Nobody accepts that you are the ANC, you must lead in terms of the coalitions. But if the law says the party that has received will then have the right to constitute government, and then we've got the law that says that, then everybody will toe the line. At the present moment is what we want, but we know very well that we cannot execute it at the present moment precisely because there is no law that compels everybody else to agree to that. So a party with 2 people, 3 people will not agree to anything else. It's either you take it or leave it. But also it's because it is important to conscientize society to get out and vote, so as to we don't have coalition governments in our country. So these coalition governments, it really depends on many things and how you negotiate best and what people agree to. So it's not an easy path that you surrender easily. And so on, you've got to negotiate, and people believe that they too, through the democratic process, they've got the right to become anything in the Hang municipalities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, SG. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. It's already an afternoon. The press conference comes to an end. Thank you.
Apila Magwinya.